Welcome back to another episode of the Student Athlete Sessions. Today we are joined by former D3 All-American, current pro, and former Randolph-Macon College standout Buzz Anthony. He joins us from Germany. Buzz, thanks for joining the program.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here and been a couple years in Germany now, but stay connected to the D3 world. So yeah, it's cool to get to talk with you today.
Yeah, we always like to kick it off. I know we've established what country you're in, but just in this moment, what are you up to? Where are you calling in from?
Yeah, I'm in a small town called Quakenbrück. Um, this is my fourth season. The first year I was in a bit of a bigger city, Paderborn, but yeah, this town is 15,000, and it's a rare little niche in Germany where basketball is kind of is kind of the main thing. So soccer kind of rules most of Germany, but this little town loves basketball, has tradition, which is awesome, and I've been with this club. It's my third year. Just finished up practice. We're kind of in that mid-season January grind a little bit. And yeah, like I told you, I got my wife and baby over here with me. They're in the other room. She just turned one the other day, so that was really fun. My mom's visiting right now as well. So we got yeah, it feels a little bit like home, I'd say.
Full house.
Yep.
Um, I don't know the population of Ashland, Virginia, but I have to think there some similarities between playing for Macon and this kind of small town that rallies around basketball. Have you felt that at all?
Yeah, maybe there is a little bit of that. Yeah, kind of working behind the scenes, like having success in a smaller place and just kind of gravitating there. I think yeah, both my wife and I are more simple people and starting a family. Like we don't need the big city that the kind of European pro life can offer. And it was really cool the first year, but there's definitely some loyal fans, older guys, older people that show up every game, and I think that was really similar to Ashland. Like just having not only your basketball alumni or parents, but just people in the community that have been going to games for years, being part of that. I think it means something. We're definitely drawn to that.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, and your wife was a Macon athlete as well. Pretty accomplished in her own right. Um, did she ever think about playing pro, or was it kind of just like when you got that deal with Paderborn, you guys took off together and that was it?
Yeah, no, she is an all star. She was a great player, but I think just doing this journey, I'm not sure how a lot of guys do it on their own. There's a lot of you practice for 2 3 hours, you can get some extra shots up. There's only so much you can do in the day, and so it's been really great having her um, in the journey. Having her be a hooper definitely helps understand just what it takes, and I can come home and we can talk basketball, which is awesome. She never really wanted to play pro. We that first year we had a little bit like she was kind of learning who she was outside of being an athlete, outside of being on a team. And I think we look back at that moment and it was hard for her and for us, but it also I think I don't know like second college in some sense of just a freedom to like who am I post the athlete. I know a lot of athletes go through that. Still pending for me, but yeah, we've just kind of had a journey mentality, adventure mentality, and gone with that.
Love that. Well, let's get into your career in college. And I think first time I saw you play was at the this tournament called the Great Lakes Invitational at Marietta College. You guys were playing against a couple good teams. Ended up from that tournament, three teams ended up going to the Final Four, including your squad. And yeah, I think in that tournament, the thing I noticed about you the most was just your poise and your pace. Like the gym was loud. You guys were playing the home team. It was packed. Like,
Mm.
but you were never. They never. You never let them rush you at all. I just want to start there. Like, what is your mentality like as a point guard, and where does that kind of poise under pressure come from?
Man, It's a cool question. It's bringing back some awesome memories. That was a great tournament, a great trip. Yeah, the gym was packed. The culture that they had up there for basketball was really cool to be a part of. Um, Poise, pressure, mentality. I don't know. I think a lot of it is um, the culture of kind of what we created at Macon, which I'm also learning like is not, you go up in the basketball world, it's professional now, but it takes a long time in the oven to create a culture and to create this like true confidence and standard. And so it's way different over here. There's a lot of aspects I miss, but I think, yeah, there was this like every possession, is absolute life and death, and we're going to coach every possession. And I think it gives you freedom as an athlete just to like be super locked in. And I think I've always been maybe more of my IQ or my focus is like one of my superpowers on the court. And so I think those games when everything can be moving a bit faster or it's a bit louder or whatever, um, yeah, I think I'm able to. My wife will joke sometimes, we'll go a whole game or after the game, and I have no idea where she's sitting. Some guys might know where their mom is or whatever it is, and it's like has really served me well, and it's picked up on, hey, we want to attack this action, and sometimes in a scout, it sounds good during the week, but when you get in the game, you forget everything. I think some of those big games, stealing a couple buckets, gives you that confidence that they're beatable, they're breakable, all that stuff. So those would be some of my first thoughts to that time to that question.
Yeah. How do you feel like you guys developed that culture at Macon? I mean, like, is now you've produced so many great players, so many great teams, so many conference titles, competing at the national level as well. Like, where does that come from? Does it start with Coach Merkel? Does it, did you guys build it as a group of guys? Yeah, how did that come about?
Yeah. I mean, it 100% starts with Coach Merkel. He's going to tell you that it doesn't. He's going to tell you, oh, you have good players. Coaching doesn't matter. He's got just a great humble approach. But I think, yeah, when I got there, it was his second year um, with Macon, and there's a lot of tradition and expectation. So we would say, pressure is a privilege. Like it was nice to be in a place where it was demanded, it was expected. Um, and then, yeah, after that first year, we got upset in our conference tournament in the first round. We were the 1 seed and we lost to the 8 seed, Eastern Mennonite. And we had one senior on that team. And he was sixth man, seventh man. He was a key piece, but we returned everyone else. And I felt like that was maybe the coolest summer, like the coolest year of just everybody buying completely in. It was Coach Merkel's third year, so he kind of had more of his recruited guys. And I remember we went down to Emory and we beat them in their tournament, and that was kind of that spark or that belief or whatever. And then from that, just I think what he was great at and what we started doing was just upperclassmen like really coaching and really being involved with like how to pass that culture down, how to teach the standard and stuff. I mean, I remember my last year at Macon, I'm not practicing a ton of 5-on-5. I'm getting a workout in the morning. I'm doing our 5-on-0, and then, hey, get this freshman in who's not going to play tomorrow. And then I'm on the sideline, almost like a one-on-one shadow coach with a Josh Talbert or something who had huge potential. And then in a year or two ends up helping us win it, at the big one. And so I think that reinvestment of like how to reinvest in your culture is something that yeah, he kind of the leadership journey for each guy is important, and that reinvestment would be maybe a key word if I'm thinking of how I would do it or how I try to replicate it. I think that's a big piece that he's nailed, and that the tradition also like demands, I think, or really inspires out of guys.
And I think that did show up in the way you guys played and kind of who would step up in big moments for you because oftentimes it was not the guy who would be on the scout. It wasn't you, it wasn't Miles Mallory. Like maybe you guys would be having a good game, but there would be some other guy on your team who would just pop up out of nowhere and hit three threes or and I think, that it makes a lot of sense seeing that those guys were getting heavy reps in practice. It wasn't that they weren't normal contributors. That probably wasn't a surprise to you as much as it was to other people.
And absolutely, like I remember Daniel Bonge. It was like I think Elite Eight, Final Four national championship. He starts each game with like a super hungry, like defeats a box out, offensive rebound, kick out spray for a shooter just to see one early, inside out, knock it down. And it's funny, it's such a small clip, but just that dude's journey, like everybody had that, whether it was Ian making threes in the Final Four game or in Marietta, or it's Bonge starting the game off with an awesome offensive rebound spray. It's like each dude had such a journey to get to that moment. And then just like you said, it's so cool to see them then perform in that moment, but also like a testament to kind of what your investment looks like, and then ultimately you're hoping it's luck, but that preparation all kind of mixed in there makes it feel a little more than luck.
Yeah. And I want to pull up a Merkel quote here about you. He says, Buzz was a guy that to me was an extension of our staff. He was an assistant coach while he played for me. I look at Marquette coach Shaka Smart, who played D3, Boston Celtics president Brad Stevens, who played D3. If Buzz was an NBA head coach, I would not be surprised. In fact, I would say I told you so. Do you feel like you got a bug for coaching then, a love for it, kind of when you were being that shadow coach for those
Mm.
younger guys, or was this always something that you have been interested in, just teaching the game?
Yeah, no, it's my both. So I mean, I think it starts with my parents. Both my parents were played college sports, and then both of them coached at a collegiate, high school kind of level, and then both refereed for a ton of years. So like I'm growing up, the dinner table is whether it was talking about how I played, talking about how the coach was, or talking about how the refs were. We could cover every angle of what was going on, and so I think it really sparked my curiosity for sport, but not only for being the guy to hit the shot. It was also parents are pointing out the coach, they're pointing out the refs. It was like a holistic understanding of sport. And then, yeah, I think part of me that I love playing basketball hey, I'm a short white guy that's playing in this game, and I love being uncommon. I love the challenge that comes with that. But on the flip side, the mom, hey, plan B, you could always coach. Like some of that um, was talked about early on. And yeah, I remember in the recruiting process, like it's something I told Merkel. And yeah, Nathan Davis calls me. Like there was already in that was the Randolph-Macon coaching tree. Like this is also part of your selection as you come here. And we have guys, Mike Rhodes, who are in that coaching circle that'll help you. So I remember that was even part of my selection to go to Macon. Um, and then, yeah, I think just the more I grew in relationship with him, the more it was like, I really respect this and I want to be a fly on the wall as much as I can. And then my summers were just old fashioned, but doing camps, bouncing around as much as I can, meeting people, getting reps at coaching. And yeah, I think I'm still really excited about it. I think my love for coaching has changed a little bit. It's not just like I want to be in basketball, but I think the when you have an awesome mentor, when you get to experience change and just see men like be changed by the game. Um, it's really hard to not want to do that. It's really hard to not want to have an impact on someone's life and use the language of basketball um, to do that. So I think it's still something I'm fired up about and ready. But the ball keeps bouncing and opportunities keep coming. So trying to steward these well um, in the process.
Yeah. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that perspective. And just to put some context on what you talked about, like everyone in your family playing sports, I have that your mom played volleyball at University of Maryland. Your dad was a dual sport athlete at St. Mary's in Maryland, played
Yeah.
basketball and tennis. You have a cousin that played pro beach volleyball. So pretty athletic family there. Uh, can definitely see how sports seeped into everything that you guys were up to. So, um, but I want
Sure.
to go back to your that call, that recruiting process for you that ended up taking you to Macon. So
Okay.
you grow up in Maryland, so not too far away. What
Hmm.
were your kind of options like coming out of high school? What were your thoughts? And obviously, you mentioned coaching and that being an appealing part of it. Um, but what else were you considering when you were picking a school?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the coaching stuff, that maybe that conversation with Merkel didn't come until later in the process, like spring of senior year. Because yeah, I think like every kid, like if I'm telling a potential recruit at Macon, it's like you probably didn't grow up dreaming you were gonna play at a Division III school. You grew up like me. I grew up watching UNC and watching March Madness and seeing Marcus Page hit a double clutch shot, and then Chris Jenkins come down and break a heart. So it's like, yeah, I thought I'm playing in a really competitive private basketball league in Baltimore and Maryland, and playing against Emmanuel Quickly, playing against Daryl Morcell, Jalen Smith, like guys who were high major Division I guys, and hey, I would score 20, and I'm feeling like, yeah, I belong. I'm a scholarship level player. I'm a Division I level player, and um, yeah, and I wanted to pursue that, and then yeah, just thought I had some interest Patriot League. Like went up for a visit at Lafayette. Talked with Navy a good amount. Navy was in our backyard. And then yeah, the offer never came, or they never kind of pulled the trigger. Had some good D2 visits at Shepherd and Stonehill. Um, and then they also didn't pull the trigger, didn't offer. And then I did St. Mary's where my dad went, Randolph-Macon, and Franklin and Marshall. I did visits at. Um, and those, and especially the Division III schools, have been recruiting me the longest. So I think it was also like just the relationship felt more there. Um, and then that spring of senior year, I had a coach who recruited me at Lycoming, who went to Catawba, and then kind of came in with a late D2 offer. I had good grades, so it was like, hey, we'll cover the last couple thousand. And so that was like a big part for me. It was like, hey man, I get to tell people, I get to, I'll play Division II or whatever. But there was a piece of me, and I think my parents had some good wisdom, just like, you know, you've had this relationship with Coach Merkel for multiple years. Um, and yeah, it just really felt like that was more important. And I think that was a bit of me maturing too, thinking about coaching or thinking about who would go to bat for me for the next 40 years or whatever, not 4 years, 40 years kind of thing. And I think that was a hard choice, but I look back and it was a great choice. And yeah, just going somewhere that you're celebrated and you feel connection with already. Um, so yeah, that was kind of that process. Um, and I think something that looped in there a little bit was like winning tradition. My high school, we were in a really competitive league, but we didn't win a lot. And it was like, yeah, I want to be a winner. And it was like, yeah, hey, you come here, this is the expectation, versus some other recruiting pitches was like, hey, late D2, maybe it'll work out, or hey, we'll give you the ball right away from freshman year and you'll get to be the man. But that's because they're not good. So I think navigating some of that was also hard, but again, had some good wisdom, had some good mentors and discernment through it. So yeah, I'm trying to. I hope that's helpful. I hope there's something in that, but trying to put it on a 2 minute answer when it feels like the world's ending or it feels like it's the biggest decision you've ever made. I can still remember some of that feeling.
Hmm. No, that's a great answer. I mean, there's so much in that I think kids who are listening to this will learn from. It's like have the perspective one to think beyond just something that'll look good for a moment on a social media post to say I'm a scholarship athlete or I got school paid for because of athletics, like, and think about, like you said, who's been recruiting you the longest, who is really bought into Buzz Anthony as a person, as a total package, not just like oh, we didn't get our top guy, so we're gonna come in late and see if we can scoop this guy. Um, I think that really shows a lot of maturity. And I think in terms of best possible outcomes in college, finding people, finding mentors, coaches, teammates like that who are bought into you is what leads to the best outcome. Obviously, you guys found success in the court. You also, I think got a great degree. You met your partner, so like you came out pretty good from undergrad.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it really did. And maybe the last thing I'll throw in there, if yeah, people are listening and kind of questions about the recruiting process, I think it's also like invest in who you are as a person, as a player. And I think a lot of times you're going to make the best of whatever situation you choose. And I look back at some of that and I'm like, hey, maybe it wasn't a national championship, but I think if I would have went somewhere else, it's not like a regret based decision. It's like, man, I would have figured it out and I would have made the best of this situation also. So I think the more you invest in yourself and have that figured out muscle, I think it can give you a little bit of peace and poise maybe in that process also. I'll throw that in there as well.
Right. There's no wrong answer. There's
Yeah.
a lot of possible right answers. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good reminder. Um, yeah. For all the talk about sports, you end up being a math major at Macon.
Yeah.
Um, was that always the plan, or did you kind of come into a love for math in college?
I think I don't know. There's probably some people that love math. I don't know if I would sit here and be like, hey, I love math. Um, so the way I went was like, hey, if I get into coaching, maybe one day I want to do high school stuff and just be really simple and teach. And so I'm like, all right, maybe I should do a subject. And I really don't like writing papers. Exams, hey, show up, it's a game day, knock it out, walk out of there. But papers, it just sits in the back of your brain. And so I'm like, math, probably you don't have to write a lot of papers. My first semester, I had like a philosophy gen ed, I had a history and English gen ed. I was writing papers like crazy. And so that was kind of part of my decision to pick it early on as a major. And then my senior year, I had to write like three math papers, which like I didn't even know was a possible thing. But you get into the proofs and logic, and um, now all of my projects I did do on basketball. I did some like basketball analytics. My senior undergrad like capstone or like cumulative thing was I took the Sweet 16 from the COVID year, and I did like Ken Palm, and I basically created Ken Palm for D3, and then like predicted out those last 16 games. So I definitely found a way to make it make it my own, make it basketball or sports centric. But I think maybe I just like logic. I like the kind of you got to the answer if you go this process of thinking. Maybe I connect with that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. At one point, you listed your favorite professor as Dr. Diana Yesbeck. What did Dr. Yesbeck bring to the table? Why did you like her teaching?
Yesbeck was my advisor. She was with education. I had one education class with her, and I was like, "Hey, education seems like a bit intensive of a minor. You have to do this like student teaching." And she was just like, "Yeah, don't do it. I'll be your advisor." Like she was just a very like hospitable, like I don't motherly might sound weird, but just like I got you kind of personality. So she was great. She is great. Um, yeah, that's how I would describe her.
Shout out Dr. Yesbeck. Um, like many D3 athletes, you had a lot of things going on outside of, everyone knows you for your on-court success with the Yellow Jackets, but you were also president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, SAC. What was
Mm-hmm.
that like? Describe SAC to people who are not familiar.
Yeah, it's I think it's a really cool idea. I'm curious how other schools run it. I think I think it was something that I just heard from a friend, and it sounds weird, like what is SAC like? But yeah, it's this idea of all captains are kind of representatives from each team that meet together once a month is what we did. And the liaison coach or liaison professor kind of addresses some things that are going on, and it's supposed to be kind of an open platform or like ambassadors from athletes to school. And yeah, the first year I was in it, and I was like, I kind of like this idea. And then no one else was running for president, and the women's basketball coach was the liaison, and so we had a decent relationship. And I was like, hey, I'll do it. And we started. Probably my most proud thing was my last year. We started this um, leadership event, and it was like, hey, Macon has a lot of successful programs, but oftentimes you get preached the kind of, stay in your team. Like in my 5 years with basketball, I didn't talk to nearly as many football guys, and they kind of did the same. But football was killing it. Like I could definitely learn from what they're doing. And so our last year we started this leadership event and kind of used SAC as like a connecting programs. And so that was pretty cool to see, to kind of do something actionable, to start your own kind of initiative, I guess. And I think that's the potential there that it's there for. And especially in Division 3, you got guys who are always thinking of other things and ways to connect, ways to um, yeah, take that next step or build for something after. So
Kind of, yeah, learn from each other.
yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I was the VP of SAC at SWAT. It was a similar thing where not many people were running for president. So,
Yeah.
uh, but
Yep.
definitely a fun organization to meet other athletes, meet the coaches, and get that full sense of the community. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, let's get back to on court. I mean, again, we've mentioned the national championship. You guys had a great run through that season. Um, I'm trying to remember, were you 31-1 or was it? I have to
Yeah.
look.
It was either that or 33-1. I think it
Yeah,
was
pretty ridiculous. And didn't I remember watching the Final Four and it didn't really feel like the other three teams, I think it was Elmhurst, Wabash, and Marietta, were gonna
mm-hmm.
give you guys much of a fight. If you could point to a moment in that season where obviously you talked about the season, the COVID season, where I think you were number one. You end up playing Trine in kind of a semi-national championship
Yeah.
um, at some point. But was there a moment during that national championship run where everything kind of gelled for you guys, or like you felt like you got over the hump and you were like, we are this is something special?
Yeah. It's a good. I think it's a good question. I think of a couple things. One, we beat Mary Wash at home in like a 58-55, or like an ugly. We're up, I think, 18 at half. And I just remember the practice after that win was like we had lost by 20. I mean, we were ultra focused. We had guys like after practice staying playing one on one, just shout like going after each other. And I think that was a really cool response just to see the team's perspective that had been a couple years of the season being cut short. Like we were really mission focused on that national tournament run. Um, I think of that. I think of UMass Dartmouth is our Sweet 16 game, and they come out and they had like 3 or 4 thousand point scores. Different kind of playing style up there in the Northeast. More felt like more scoring. And I think they had 20 or 24 in like the first 10 minutes. I mean, they were on pace for 100, and that's not something that our teams were, accustomed to. We were
Not
defensive,
ODAC basketball.
efficient, but low tempo. But yeah, it was 25-25. Like I think it was one of the not first times, but it was like, okay, you can get buckets, like we can get buckets. And so over 40, we ended up, having a couple stops and then we extend the lead. But I think when I look back or after the game, I was like, oh yeah, we might be pretty good. Cause even if you are hitting, like we have the weapons to also, win in the 90s. So I think that was also a cool culture piece of the team. Like we aren't only a defensive minded team, like we're also efficient and can score it up if teams want to play that way. Because that's been something in our past. Like if we, if teams were hitting tough shots, we hadn't generated enough offense to keep up. Those were dangerous games for us. But yeah, I think those were some big ones. And then I still remember you mentioned the record. My first question I got after winning the national championship, the guy was like, "How does it feel to be 1 point, 1 game away from being undefeated for a whole season?" And I was just like, I don't know. We just won the national championship. It feels pretty good right now, but that CNU game was a dogfight, and we were definitely looking forward to. But it would have been a different, I think, game just from style wise, knowing each other. If they would have beat Marietta in that, I think it was like a crazy Elite Eight game um, coming up in that journey in that path. So those are a
Yeah,
couple things I remember.
yeah, those are fun. Yeah, it is tough question. It's like you did just accomplish the biggest thing possible in a season as a team. So let's keep it in perspective. Um, yeah. I love that though, like that anecdote of you guys playing one on one after practice. Like I think that's something that is so I wouldn't say uncommon now, but I do feel like it's kind of lost like that just pure enjoyment just to go out and compete and get like, I think that definitely showed up again in how you guys played. And also just that in that adaptability, like you guys really just controlled, it felt like all facets of the game and weren't going to get beat on things. And once you got a lead, like everyone who knows ODAC basketball, it is definitely physical, grind it out. Like it is,
Yeah,
the refs let you play. Um, and I feel like once you got the lead, maybe it was a mix of that competition, that like training in the ODAC, that like you guys just would not give it up. And you wouldn't make mistakes and you would just finish games. So yeah, I see all that kind of mixing together and it was a pretty potent formula that season and I guess in other seasons you got during your career. But um
yeah,
here's another great story. Right after the way it was told to me is after the kind of dust settled from uh the season, you went into Coach Mergel's office after that national championship game and kind of asked him what you getting into the pros would look like. And your first agent, Dave Gassman, was actually a friend of Coach Merkel's. Um, just maybe share that story. And I believe he's still your agent to this day, like what Gassman has done for you as a pro.
yep. So it was you're spot on for most of that. Gassman, there was one middleman in that, Joe Crispin, coach up at Rowan College. He had developed a close relationship with Coach Merkel, and he had played overseas for 10 plus years. And Gassman was Crispin's agent. So I went to Merkel and I'm like, hey, pros, what advice or what do you think here? And so he reached out to guys that he knew who had done the pro journey. And then Crispin connected me with Gassman. And then the first call was kind of just like let me hear your story. And yeah, Gassman had some guys playing EuroLeague and like some high profile guys. And I'm like, hey, I want an opportunity. I think I can play at this level in summer. You play with guys who are playing overseas or playing at University of Richmond. Like I'm playing with guys all the time. And yeah, I think he just liked my story. And um, so it wasn't like I had 20 agents hit me up like, oh, please let me represent you. It was him and one other dude that was a similar like friend of a friend. And I think was doing it to be nice. And so yeah, get the first call. I remember at Macon doing a summer camp, and yeah, agent texts me, "Hey, this coach in Germany wants to talk to you. Um, let's make it happen." So I talked to this guy like later that day, and then yeah, we like signed the contract and they're like flying out in 6 days. So it was a really quick turnaround. Um, the overseas life is tough, especially I think for a small school guy, trying to make a name for yourself, trying to get involved. I went over, my wife and I, in a shared apartment, making $1,000 a month. So it was, it was an awesome experience. Like we get to go on this journey mindset, but it's far from an MBA type of environment. Um, but yeah, we made it through and had a successful year, I think, in terms of the club, and then since then it's kind of been just learning more about every year. And I've stayed with my agent. He represents a couple coaches as well in college right now in America, and so that's kind of becoming more of a popular thing. And so that's something that we've also talked about is just building that relationship and potentially continuing to work together. Um, and I think it's something I value. I think loyalty is not the most popular thing today, and there are times where maybe I could have, with the COVID year and stuff, like tried to transfer up or tried to do other things, but it was like, hey, if I think if I stay here, there's a chance to be great. And I think relationships kind of value that year after year. Um, yeah, being known, I guess, just feeling like someone knows me who's advocating for me and not just transactional all the time. So
Mhm.
it's a little against the grain, I feel like. I feel like most guys I meet, it's just, hey, if this guy can give me more money or if this guy can give me a better opportunity, then it's business. And that's fine as well. But we're kind of we're kind of a bit more relationally driven and alignment driven. So finding our way.
Very nice. Yeah, and I think you're right. Like I think when it comes to like you said, when someone's going to bat for you, if they can really tell your story, not just say like, oh, Buzz is a great player, he'll fit. It's like, no, he actually knows what you've been through, knows your ins and outs and he
Mm-hmm.
can better sell you on the next opportunity and also find you something that's actually going to fit what you want. So I think that's a great message, especially given, like you said, how much people are bouncing around, 4 schools in 4 years or um, kind of
Right.
the moment that we're in with transferring. So um, yeah, let's go to I think kind of what you're up to now. You're obviously playing well, as you always have. Your team, like you said, you're in the middle of the season with Artland. You've been playing heavy minutes, scoring kind of maybe not the numbers you scored at Macon, but almost 10 points a game, 7 assists roughly a game. Um, and you're also in true DT athlete form. You're doing something else off the court. You're getting a master's in sports business. Um, how's that program been?
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, I think the first 2 years over here, we were like soaking it all up, but you really have a ton of downtime. It's a couple hours of practice. You can maybe go in the morning, get some extra work in, but ultimately you can only push your body so much, and it's a 9 month season. It's a long season, and so um, yeah, I caught myself watching Prison Break, watching Suits, like just watching too many shows, and I'm like, man, let me do something that is a little more useful. And I got some advice just about like coaching. You could go the GA route and like really work slowly in that process. And so part of me was like, oh man, am I missing, like, am I going to be behind when I come back or something? And I'd heard from some pros and play 5-10 years, they come back and now they're working at CarMax or Enterprise, and it's a solid job, but it wasn't like, it's kind of a rough transition. um and I think that's something that was like, hey, pick one thing once a year and just kind of take initiative on it and show that you're like a you're like your own business. You're working on what you're cultivating, what your brand, because no one's telling you you have to do it. So you have to kind of take that engagement, take that initiative to engage. Sorry. And so yeah, I found this program and I've been watching EuroLeague more, and it's a big thing over here, and so that was really interesting having that name attached to it. And then sport business, I thought would be cool because I've been in the locker rooms, I've been on the court. I could talk to somebody about coaching right now, but as far as how to recruit, how to financial aid budget, how to have conversations with donors, how to social media market. I was a math major. I didn't talk about a lot of this, and I don't have a ton of, I think, confidence in that. So that's been a really cool thing with a lot of the projects and a lot of the stuff that we're doing and learning, that I think for most people, as you go up in degree, you get a degree in more of what you're focusing that you're doing, like very applicable. And so that's been really nice for me, kind of holistically learning about the business of basketball. Um, which, yeah, I think I'm getting a lot of different angles, a lot of different perspectives in it right now. So, um, yeah, my last term paper I just presented was about small schools learning new competitive strategies, in the NIL market and using European soccer, European football, as like a comparative tool. So some interesting, like blending worlds, new ideas. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and it's felt a little more productive, than just hitting, watching the countdown 5 seconds to the next episode and knowing that I'm going to be defeated and the next episode's going to play.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, no, it's something I've heard a lot from people who have gone the pro route. It's like you really do have to, especially if you're not a native speaker of whatever country you're in, and you can be it can be pretty isolating. So you really have to either find that thing that fills your time, or find a community and kind of develop that. I know in your first season with Paderborn, you played alongside another D3 grad, Travis Jocelyn, right, from
Yeah. Yeah.
TCNJ. What was that like? I guess I'm assuming you guys didn't know each other before you landed in Paderborn. Is that correct?
Yeah. We didn't know each other. We did play against each other. One game, it was round of 32 at Macon my junior
COVID
year.
year, right?
Yeah. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That was the last game before it
Hmm.
got shut down. So we did watch that game back in the apartment. um, but yeah, I mean it was really cool. Just he had a ton of respect and success there, so he had a lot of um, ties and connections still. So whatever it was, we're talking about games or how TCNJ is doing, how Macon's doing. So yeah, I think we didn't know each other, but there was kind of a bond or just similar worlds that led to a quicker friendship. Um, yeah, for that next year.
That'd be some great content just to have you two talking while the game replay is going, just about what was happening in the moment and
Oh
getting
yeah.
some insights there. So I'm sure that was a
Oh,
fun watch. Uh,
yeah. That was pretty cool.
Um, well, nice. I think we'll move to close it out here. We'll ask you the question we ask every guest. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self, 18-year-old Buzz some advice, what would you say?
I think I would tell him just I think I would tell him like pursuing basketball like it's life or death leads to the most growth, and it's a process that's worth doing. But I think I would value community, value friends, value people outside of basketball that also checked your heart motive or um, led to some of those conversations a bit better. I think I got a little tunnel vision, and then small world. You get a little drunk in the process of it or in the success of it. I think having a firm community, a firm base, is something that's worth investing in and is sustainable for whether it's dealing with of course, everyone talks about dealing with adversity, but I think dealing with prosperity is also a hard challenge as well. And so, yeah, I would just say invest more in close community and value those check-ins to give you a humble, stable connection, so that whatever comes, you can get through it. That'd be something that I've definitely been doing more recently that I wish I did more, and had more in high school or in that last year, transition year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's well said. I mean, you're right. Everyone does talk about weathering adversity and having that support network to fall back on, but you're so right. Like when things do go well, it's also nice to have those people who still remember you, who know who Buzz truly is and what actually matters and keep you grounded and keep you on track. So I think that's great advice. Um, yeah. Any closing thoughts here? Any shout outs you want to drop?
No, I mean, I'll just kind of repeat. I think from my talk, it's probably evident, but yeah, I still follow Division 3 hoops. Like it's still exciting to watch. It's still an awesome brand of basketball. And yeah, I think it's playing somewhere where it matters is also important and something that guys should take pride in and care about. I think there's some cool culture over here, but there's so many guys I've talked to that's just empty gyms or it's people that are clapping at the wrong moments. They just don't know basketball. So just um, yeah, just really value those people that are supporting you and the group that you're doing it with because playing with care and playing with passion is it's one of the best things. So I'll close with that.
Perfect. All right. Well, this has been another episode of the Student Athlete Sessions. Buzz, thanks for joining. Um, you can always find previous episodes wherever you get your podcasts, Apple or Spotify. And as always, let us know who you want us to talk to next. And we will see you on the next episode.